I seen the lights go out on Broadway. On Broadway, over Broadway.
On.
See, that shows you how little I know about Billy Joel. I do not even know the name of that song. And before anybody gets mad, don't click the don't like button. Don't turn off the video. Thankfully, we have Lauren, who is, I don't know, would you consider yourself like a Billy Joel expert? You're a huge fan.
I'm a big fan.
You're a big fan.
Big fan.
Compared to me, you're an expert because I don't dislike anything Billy Joel's ever done, but for whatever reason, I grew up a radio guy from Billy Joel. For example, if our lives depended on me knowing the name of that song that I just said the very first line from, we would not be here anymore. What is the name of that song?
Miami 2017.
I have no idea. I know that line. And I'm certain I've even sang it like loudly in stores when it's like on the overhead or whatever, but nope. And I am a casual Billy Joel fan enough to where like I know and love all the singles that he's ever released, but like I don't know anything deeper than that. And so all of this is to say that when we picked this record up that we're reviewing today, the Japanese pressing of Songs from the Attic, this is a thing that with my limited knowledge of Billy Joel, I probably would have picked up off the shelf, looked at the track list and been like, oh,
I don't know anything.
yeah, this is not Most of an Innocent Man. You know what I mean? And I think the day we picked it up, I was like, hey, is this any? And you were like, yes. I
got really excited.
So with this now, we picked up a Japanese pressing of it. As we do with our vinyl videos, there's no rhyme or reason to what we do. We're just telling you about records we picked up. We do not do any sort of in-depth stuff here. We're not going to get into Hertz ratings and all that type of stuff. We are just telling you about records we bought and what we like about them. I'm only going to cover one thing on the packaging on this. And then I'm going to hand it to you because you're going to know far better, like the packaging versus what it looked like on the CD and original pressings. This is a Japanese pressing, so it's got the OBI strip on it. OBI strips for me they're such a vinyl nerd thing. Like no one else on planet Earth would ever even care. But a vinyl nerd talking to a vinyl nerd will always be sure to be like, oh, and it's got the OBI strip. OBI strip. All it is a condensed translation of everything from the sleeve cover. Oh. So if because all Japanese pressings, they didn't reprint the covers for Japan with like Japanese writing on them, it would be the same exact sleeve we got here in the U.S. But because the Japanese have always been very serious about their music, everything is on those strips of like and even most of the time they even have things that U.S. pressings don't even say like where it was pressed and who mastered it and that type of thing. Some of that information is usually in our inner sleeves, but the Japanese wanted it right there on the thing. So sometimes you get thicker covers and whatnot, but always the OBI strip. So as far as packaging goes, that's for like, we saw this across the place and I was like Japanese pressing, because of the OBI strip. But as far as what you're used to for this, I'm sure you've seen it on vinyl before. I'm sure you've seen it on CD before. Same pressing, same packaging, nothing like outrageous.
Nope.
I think the only real difference too was the inner sleeve because again, the Japanese knew how to take care of their records then. I would imagine an American pressing of Songs from the Attic most likely comes with just a regular paper inner sleeve with like printing on it. And this, of course, came with a rice paper inner sleeve because they've always known how to treat their records better than us. As far as the sound goes, now, again, I'm sure you've streamed this. I'm sure you've heard it on. I don't know if have you ever heard an original vinyl pressing?
No, but I had it on CD.
CD, for sure. What do you think about the sound?
Oh, so I think, so Songs from the Attic, right? This was like Billy Joel doing live recordings of his older stuff, right? Which
is why I would have passed on it, which would have been a mistake.
Yeah. I think he did this for a reason, right? Because his career kind of really blew up with The Stranger, in 77. And then he was like, well, I've got like this, amazing back catalog, but nobody cares. So let me perform it live and, put it out as its own thing. And this album is why, She's Got Away is a single. It's a Billy Joel song that people know because of this, not because of its original release on Cold Spring Harbor, right? So all this to say, this album was put together from live performances at a bunch of different shows between June and July of 1980. Okay. And
which would be why Nothing from an Innocent Man is on it.
Yeah. That would do it.
There's your answer.
There's your answer. Yeah. So what was interesting about this to me, and
Nothing from River of Dreams on there either.
No.
Or Stormfront.
No.
No. I'm derailing. But anyway, so he's doing, which is a cool idea. I like that.
It's really cool.
I like the idea of being like, hey, I have these other great songs. Yeah.
And so the song that you kicked this video off with, Miami 2017, is the song that actually kicks this album off.
Totally knew that was the name of it.
And that performance is from Madison Square Garden. Okay. And then there are other performances.
Which I believe he's performed at a few times.
Just a couple times.
Since.
The other performances on this album were recorded in like smaller like theaters or smaller places, right? And I never really cared to pay too much attention to it before, but you can
You can tell the size of the room.
You can tell the size of the room.
I totally agree.
And
now that might be
it's not crowd. It's not crowd noise. I know that.
That might be the Elvis fan in me talking and I've played for you before a lot of stuff from Vegas, which is 1,500 to 2,000 seat room, right? And I've played a lot of stuff for you, ironically from Madison Square Garden. There's stuff on the 72 tour where he was doing all arenas, and I mean. Now, on the Elvis thing, there is a crowd noise difference. When he kicks into Hound Dog, you can tell the difference between 1,500 women screaming and 20,000 women screaming. But just when the actual song is going, right now, I could play for you like Proud Mary in 72 in front of 20,000 people and play Proud Mary in front of, in the smaller Vegas room. And you would instantly, it's the sound difference.
Yeah, and what I'm getting at is I never really noticed that before, and I never really... put it together until listening
you listen to
this. Yeah. So,
which I don't want to turn that into a negative, but is it distracting?
No, I think because
the Elvis thing with me, I think again I've said this recently in another video. I think my OCD would kick in, like if I knew that it was different size. Well, but it's not distracting for you.
No, however they do it, like. Between tracks, like you hear like the crowd and it kind of fades out and then crowd picks up on the next one, and so like it's not jarring.
Yeah,
because you still.
But you can still tell the difference.
You can still tell. Yeah.
Price wise, Japanese pressings are mostly revered. There's a whole debate on what actually sounds better and all that. We're not doing any of that today. We're talking about our personal beliefs and our observations on this particular one. Japanese pressings are generally revered, but with late 70s, early 80s Japanese pressings, it's the same thing as it was all over the world. Like, as the vinyl boom continued over the past 20 years or so, everybody with any copy of Thriller in their attic is like, I'm gonna make a bunch of money because I have these old records. Thriller sold 100 million copies during the vinyl's heyday. Like, you don't have anything rare, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of late 80s, late 70s, early 80s Japanese pressings are the same way, where you can find them in bulk because at the time there wasn't any shortage of records and whatnot. So for this, I was shocked to find, you and I the other day were discussing, we're like, what did we pay for that? And we couldn't remember. The price tag's still on it. We paid $23.99, so $24, which I told you when in the store when we were in there for $25. My thought was, if this is in it looked in great shape, but I was like, if this is remotely quiet, this is gonna be far better than buying a reissue of the record because you're gonna pay $25-$30 for the record. So as far as value goes, how do you feel we made out value wise for $25?
I think we made out awesome value wise for this. Like, for me, and just in my personal opinion, like if you're gonna have like 3 Billy Joel albums, this should be one of them.
Yeah. Because it covers
his entire, it covers most of his, the first like 4 years of his career. Like this gives you like the highlights from that, but with the power and confidence and like bombacity that he was starting to have as the 80s happened. So like it's the songs that you need to hear from his early career, just so full of life.
It's not a live album, but I've played something similar for you in the Pink Floyd catalog. There's a cash grab that Capitol put out called Relics that is pre-Dark Side of the Moon stuff that for me is like required reading for Pink Floyd stuff. A lot of songs they never did live, so like there's no opportunity for it to be live, but I feel like this would be relics of that. Like if a person gets way into Billy Joel, I can be like, hey, instead of buying the first couple of records, buy this
Yeah, seriously,
And,
like
yeah, well, like for me, it was a crash. When I heard it, I was like, oh, this is a crash course on some great stuff that I know now, but at the time wouldn't have been.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm just gonna come out and say it, and like Billy, whatever. Like, I have no need to own like the Piano Man album, Street Life Serenade, or Cold Spring. I don't care to own them, and we don't.
Yeah.
And we won't.
Right.
Because we have this.
Oh, it sounded like and we won't.
And we won't.
Yeah, she's like it sounded like
No,
if
we
I,
might.
If I stop, no,
No,
there's
we
no
won't.
point.
There's no
Yeah.
point.
So, once again, my name is Russ. That is Lauren. And as I said at the beginning of the video, she knows a lot more than Billy Joel than I do. We have a ton of videos on the channel already. We have the vinyl videos on Sunday and then our reaction videos on Saturday. But in the middle, we have our music discussion videos about a wide variety of topics that happen every Thursday. So hit the notification bell. But more important to that, if you're a Billy Joel fan, like search the channel and type in Billy Joel, because a bunch of other videos that Lauren has done on Billy Joel have already been on the channel. So go check those out. And then if you have anything you want her to cover Billy Joel wise or Elton John wise or anything, leave a comment on this video and let us know, and we'll put it on our list. If you would, please double check and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, because that of course helps us grow. And as we always say, thank you so much for watching.